call this meeting of the Santa Barbara County Air Pollution Control District Board of Directors to order. Today is January 16, 2020. We'll do a roll call, please.
Director Andrzyk. Here. Clark. Perotti. Rubalcaba.
Here.
Mosby.
Here.
Patino.
Here.
Toussaint. Williams. Hartman.
Here.
Adam.
Here.
Avenino.
Here.
And Chair Murillo.
Here. And Director Clark just walked in. Thank you. If you would join me for our Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Our first item of business, Madam Clerk, would you read the item C?
Item C, elected chair and vice chair for 2020. Elect the chair and vice chair to serve as APCD officer for calendar year 2020.
Thank you so much. So Supervisor Doss Williams is our vice chair and will, as custom, rotate into the chair position. And Goleta Mayor Paula Perotti is next in line. We try to stagger it county, city, county, city. So that would be my motion to move forward with the leadership of this board.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Mr. Lavanino? Or Director Lavanino?
I always thought, and maybe it's SB-CAG, I don't know, but I always thought we had a north-south mix as well with city-county, so that you had a South County supervisor with a North County mayor kind of thing. But I don't know, I have to go back and look at do we have that chart
It's
in here?
included, yeah, we have a chart including the last 10 years of the chair and vice chair. In looking through this 10-year span, it doesn't look like we have the same policy in place. It's just up to the board's prerogative as far as how we move forward.
So Director Lavanino, in looking at the history, what is your suggestion?
I just wanted to make sure we weren't violating our policy. It doesn't really matter to me who the vice chair of the APCD district is, except that I just want to make sure we were following policy. But if we don't have a policy, then that's fine.
Any other discussion related to the motion of Director Williams taking the chair and Goleta Mayor Paula Perotti being the vice chair for 2020? Ms. Director Patino?
Yeah, maybe we should develop a policy maybe for next time so that we have that in place, but I don't have any problem with the motion. Thank you.
Very good. And we don't have anyone up in North County, so we could take we'll just vote on it if everyone's ready. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Congratulations, Director Williams. And we should change seats so you can take over the meeting.
Well, thank you, and I just want to appreciate the honor that you have bestowed upon me, and I just love the subject matter that this board deals with. So I look forward to working with staff and you each as an individual board member. Thank you so much.
Well, for simplicity's sake, we're going to go to closed session next, so when we come back, you can take the throne. But in the meantime, Ms. Clerk, would you read the closed session item for us?
Item D, closed session. D1, conference with labor negotiator, Government Code 54957.6. Agency designated representative, District Council Rachel Van Mullum. Unrepresented employee, Control Officer Aaron Arlen Janae. D2, public employee appointment, Government Code 54957B1. Title, Air Pollution Control Officer.
We're adjourned to closed session. Thank you.
Report from closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The board met in closed session on 2 items, conference with labor negotiator under Government Code 54957.6 and public employee appointment, Government Code 54957B1, and took no reportable action.
And then we will look at C1. Or is that later on? Okay. Then we'll go on to D, the minutes. Can I get a motion on the minutes?
Move approval of our minutes?
Great. So the approval of minutes, item E. Approval of minutes from the December 19th meeting. Does
Move
anybody-
approval?
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 1 abstention. 2 abstentions, 3 abstentions.
Chair Williams,
4
who
abstentions.
made the motion?
Murillo. Just so you guys know, it is possible to vote on minutes. We once had a county council opinion on this that you aren't at, just in case you ever want to consider that. But we have, okay, all right. So we have, then we'll move on to administrative items. Is there any administrative items that the board member or the member of the public would wish to pull?
We have a public comment for administrative item F2B.
Is there any other items that wish to be pulled by the board members? Seeing none, I will ask for a motion on the balance of the agenda besides F2B.
So moved.
Motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Well, it's unanimous. Let's take the public comment for F2B.
My name is Frank Peters. I'm a member of your resolution hearing board.
Hold on just a sec, Frank, to make sure you're being recorded. Is it on?
Maybe that, yeah.
There you go, Frank.
And my time. Chair.
Just go ahead and Frank, we'll add time if we need.
Chair, members of the board, my name is Frank Peters. I'm a member of the hearing board. Today I wanted to speak to just recognize the wood smoke reduction program that's in the packet. Say congratulations. And then I thought maybe you'd indulge me. May I bring this to your attention? I've got a little one-pager, front and back, in front of you. Care to take a look, follow along? Pardon my presumptuousness here, but I'm a long-term wood smoke. What's the opposite of advocate? I'm a clean air advocate, of course, but my specialty has been wood smoke. And here, do you see it? My little map here. I've been mapping. It's a separate page. There you go. Anyway, I've been mapping wood-burning restaurants in the county. I zoomed in just to Santa Barbara so that I could make a point or two. I started this in 2017, just recently updated it, and as recently as today, added 6 new locations to the wood-burning restaurants map here. And of course, why do we have a wood smoke reduction program? Why do I care about wood-burning restaurants? It's because of the PM 2.5 is toxic. It adversely affects children, pregnant women, and people like myself, the elderly, almost elderly, huh? So what's the issue with wood-burning restaurants is many times they're operating 7 days a week. It affects their restaurant patrons and the neighbors who live nearby, but mostly it affects the staff that are checking in for each shift. They're getting quite the dose of wood smoke. So I guess my question is, we have 6 new ones. How many is too many, is a thought. I draw your attention to the flip side here. I attended the meeting, it's a little over a year ago. I bet it was a year ago, October, when staff described the Purple Air Monitor program. Do you remember that? And I got the brilliant idea, what a great Christmas gift that would be for my wife. And she's gone on the record, let me share it with you, best Christmas gift ever, huh? I don't know what that says about my wife, but anyway, she loves her Purple Air Monitor. And this just shows just the days this week of what air pollution is like in a micro local area. You can think of this as right outside the
That's your
Arlington Theater.
time, Frank.
Oh, that's my time.
And I added the extra time that
Well,
you
thank you very much.
have. And I will say that your wife and I are probably the only 2 people that would consider that an awesome present. But I definitely agree with her that you chose the right gift for her. From my interactions with your wife, it's definitely was a good gift. And anybody who ever wants to give me a Purple Air Monitor, it's awesome.
Thank you very much.
I always like to make sure that I give something that I would like, and I think that you have complied with my rule. So I salute you.
Okay, can I get a motion? Since it is a discussion item and not just public comment for stuff not on the agenda, I will just say that I agree with the public speaker that this is a really important issue for us to be looking at. And in an age when we have many hypothetical discussions from perceived health impacts in the community, this one is one that we know has actual health impacts in the community, and there's pretty solid science on. Of course, I also think that wood-burned food tastes really good. So there's obviously a balance to take place, but I will note that is it not the case now that it is not possible to build a building or a home up to code with a fireplace now in the state of California? I believe that is the law, or at least most contractors I know that talk about building things don't think you can build a fireplace with a wood-burning fireplace anymore. Mr. Adam.
I'm just going to represent those of us who very much enjoy red oak cooked food and other smoked products. And, there's only one place to get the smoked flavor, and that's smoke. So those of us who make food and cook it and smoke it on real wood, I think there's a lot of societal benefits to that. Brings families together, and they eat healthy food that's cooked in a healthy way, and we really enjoy that. So I'm just representing those of us.
Director Hartman.
This isn't really on our agenda today, but I wonder, there is a lot of interest, and if we could have a discussion. I have a soapstone stove, wood burning, that has an EPA something that helps to reduce, and whether there are ways to encourage reducing the particulates, that would be something of interest to know, or how many, or what kind of review, or I'd like to learn more about it.
If I could add a little bit as far as particulate matter and more information to your board, we're working now to address particulate matter now that we have ozone attainment headed in the right direction. We're still non-attainment for the state PM10 standard of ozone, so I thought throughout this year is a good opportunity just to bring different aspects of the PM issue before your board with different aspects, whether it's health or the type of technology that's available to reduce as well. So that will be later throughout 2020 board presentations.
Great. Can I get a motion on F2B? Director Rubalcaba. Motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Director's report.
All right, I have a few items here I'd like to share with you. First off, announce 2 recent promotions at the Air District. First, most of you have met her, but I'd like to formally introduce the district's new board clerk and executive assistant, Lorena Saldana. Before taking this position, Lorena served as the district's office technician for the past 10 months and performed a variety of duties for each of the divisions. I look forward to working closely with Lorena as she develops into this position. Also, at the end of this meeting, we're going to have a resolution for engineering manager Michael Goldman, who will be retiring next week. And I would also like to formally introduce the engineering manager who will succeed Mike in that role, David Harris. David started the district over 10 years ago as an air quality engineer and was promoted 4.5 years ago as the engineering division supervisor. Please join me in congratulating both Lorena and David in their new positions with the district. Another bit of excitement with the mugs that you all have and with our recent letterhead that was on this agenda packet, I'm excited to announce that we have a new logo that will serve us well for many years to come. We started using this logo just this week, and we will be extending the application of the logo across all of the platforms, whether it's our website, our outreach materials, you name it. We have a lot of templates that we're working on the conversion right now. This design uses blue and citron colors to showcase the varied landscape of Santa Barbara County and is a fresh evolution from our previous logo. We look forward to using it in all of our outreach tools and helping reach all the residents, become more familiar with the agency we are, what we do, and how we can serve them. Just last week in Santa Barbara at the monitoring station, we were able to transition from the CARB ownership of that station to the Air Pollution Control District ownership. That's been a long time in coming. There's a photo of the key exchange. It was a lot of work just to get all of the equipment identified for what CARB has managed versus what we need to make sure that the data actually successfully migrates from that station into our system. And it took us a little bit of time to make sure everything was feeding properly, but it's all in place now. And it's one of the 2 stations that will be migrated over to APCD operation. The next one we're working on is up in Santa Maria. We're going to be moving that station from where it's currently located off of Betaravia. We're trying to find a station location that will have dual purposes, which brings me to the next item. The Community Advisory Council meeting. You might have seen the email that was sent out yesterday. We have a meeting next Wednesday with our CAC to discuss Draft Rule 364. It's for refinery, fence line, and a community air monitoring requirement. So rather than having 2 stations in Santa Maria that are measuring air quality, we're going to migrate the existing station we have in a downwind location from the California asphalt plant facility, so it can serve both the community needs and this refinery impact needs. Following the CAC meeting next week, we tentatively are set to bring this rule to your board for consideration at your March meeting. 2 other items, the governor's proposed budget. As you are aware, last Friday, Governor Newsom released his proposed budget. And within this budget, there were significant cuts to air quality and public health-related efforts. In particular, AB 617 implementation funds were cut in half. The incentive funds for 617 were reduced $45 million statewide. The Clean Vehicle Rebate Program was reduced down from $238 million to $125 million. Clean truck and bus incentives were reduced $32 million. Ag diesel engine replacement funds were reduced $15 million. These budget reductions for air quality and public health programs are a tough aspect for us to take as far as air districts throughout California, especially in light of a budget surplus this year. I'll be working with CAPCOA to submit letters to the governor's office as well as local legislators highlighting the need for these funds to continue implementing the programs that are mandated through legislation, as well as to secure incentive funds that provide significant voluntary emission reductions here in Santa Barbara County. And I'll continue to keep you apprised as the budget conversation continues. And lastly, I wanted to highlight the Wine Institute efforts continue. On February 27th, the Joint Select Committee on Wine is holding a hearing from 12 to 2 p.m. in Lodi at their City Council chambers. I've been invited to participate on a panel discussion related to wine fermentation and the emission reduction efforts that have been in place in Santa Barbara County for many years. In addition to the committee presentation, I will continue working with CAPCOA to monitor the legislation as it relates to the gut and amend bill that the Wine Institute introduced at the end of last session. And that concludes my report.
Any questions, comments for the board? We move on to item H. Is there any member of the public here to talk about something that is not on the agenda?
We have no public comment.
Thank you. Further discussion items. We are into item I1, consideration of salary merit increase for control officer.
Do you want to read?
Consider salary merit increase for control officer Erin Arlen Janae. For purposes of discussion, the board letter proposes a 3% salary merit increase. Item I2, appointment of APCD Executive Committee. Oh, no, not yet.
We're on one.
We'll do one at a time.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I just wanted to make a quick report. Under Government Code 54953, prior to taking a final action, the legislative body is required to make a report on the summary of a final action for a salary of a local agency executive. And so by making this statement, that'll qualify as the report required under the Government Code.
Discussion. It is obvious to me from looking at that our director's performance was high, and therefore I will entertain a motion for the merit increase. We need public comment? Is there anyone?
I'd like to make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Second.
There is a motion by Murillo, second by Hartman. Discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to clarify if the motion is for the recommendation of 3% or if it's any different. I just
Yes,
wanted to
ma'am.
clarify. Thank you.
There is a motion and a second. Any discussion? I see a light on, but is that
Oh,
you,
that's
Mr.
just-
Mosby?
that's to
Okay.
vote.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Item I2.
Discussion item I2, appointment of APCD Executive Committee. Select 3 members of the board to serve on the APCD Executive Committee during calendar year 2020.
Is there any tradition beyond having the chair and vice chair and one other, and the prior board chair? Is there any discussion about extending that tradition, or is this another, if it's not broke? Okay, is there a motion?
Second.
All those in favor, please say, oh, public comment. Sorry to get your attention with that loud oh, but I don't want to ever break the law. So is there any public comment on this appointment?
No public comment.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item I3.
Discussion item I3, appointment of APCD board member to Basin-wide Control Council. Appoint 1 board member to serve as the representative to the South Central Coast Basin-wide Control Council during the calendar year 2020.
Okay. Can we just request any additional detail? How often are these meetings?
They meet quarterly. That's the goal, I would say. In reality, I think 3 times a year has been what it was. They are held in Santa Barbara at our office, and it's a 2-hour meeting from 10 to noon. So the Ventura rep and the SLO rep drive to meet us. They're interesting conversation, a little bit more conversation than what you have here at the board on a number of issues, something that the members recommend or the APCOs elect to present. I don't know, Al or Steve, if you have any other comments you'd like to provide since you were both participants on this committee.
That's very interesting, actually. I didn't like the chair, but I like the
I think Steve, Director Lavanino was accidentally appointed when it happened because he was like, what committee am I on?
And also, well, it's just the makeup of that board was a little difficult at the time.
Yeah,
so,
it's changed.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, so is this the appointment that Mayor Peroty's on and wants to keep?
Yes.
So since she's not here, I'll speak for her that she wants to stay on that.
Great. Is that a motion?
Yes, sir. So moved.
Is there a second?
second.
There is a second from Mr. Clark. Any public comment?
We have no public comment.
Any other nominations? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. I-4.
Discussion item I-4, appointment of the APCD Hearing Board Nominating Committee. Select 5 members of the board to serve on the APCD Hearing Board Nominating Committee during calendar year 2020.
I believe I am on that committee currently. Could you refresh our memory of what other members are on that committee?
You are Director Hart, Director Hartman, Director Adam, Director Patino.
Would all members like to continue? Is there any other suggestions? I'm seeing nods. Would there be a motion to continue the committee's current makeup? Motion by Hartman, second by Andresek. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. I-5.
Discussion item I-5, South Central Coast Cal-E VIP Incentive Program. Receive and file a presentation from District and Center for Sustainable Energy staff on the California Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Project, Cal-E VIP, and a potential 2021 Cal-E VIP South Central Coast project to be administered in Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, and Ventura counties.
I am so excited.
All right, today we have a presentation on the rebate program that's been funded through the California Energy Commission for the past few years. Alex Economou, Air Quality Specialist in our Planning Division, will be presenting on behalf of the Air District, and he will be joined by Alex Kaufman. Mr. Kaufman is an energy engineer with and a Cali VIP advisor for the Center for Sustainable Energy. CSE is a nonprofit organization located in San Diego, and we're very thankful that Alex was able to take the train trip up today. It arrived, I think, around 11:30 if it was on time, so we were fortunate that the train was on time to present on this rebate program. Thanks to the Alexes for what we're about ready to hear.
Good afternoon, Chair Williams and members of the board. We're here today to present to you on the California Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Project, or Cal-EVIP for short. My name is Alex Economou, and as Aaron mentioned, I'm an air quality specialist here at the district. With me is Alex Kaufman, energy engineer and Cal-EVIP advisor from the Center for Sustainable Energy. We will be giving you an overview of what Cal-EVIP is and what we are doing locally to hopefully bring an incentive project to our region. There will be 12 slides in all. To kick things off, I will pass the presentation over to Alex to introduce himself and give you an overview of Cal-EVIP.
Thank you, Alex. As mentioned, my name is Alex Kaufman. I'm an energy engineer and advisor for the Cali VIP project. I am from the Center for Sustainable Energy, as mentioned, and we have been administering this project on behalf of the California Energy Commission, and we're here to talk to you about potentially bringing a 2021 Cal EVIP regional project to the Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, and Ventura County region. So, as we mentioned, CSC, for those who may not be familiar, we are a nonprofit located in San Diego. We're 23 years old. We have offices in Los Angeles and Oakland, also some offices on the East Coast. But our core services include program design, management, technical advisory services, and also training and education for our communities. You may be familiar with our organization as we also administer the Clean Vehicle Rebate Project on behalf of the California Air Resources Board. That's one of our flagship programs. And we typically work with local and state governments, utilities, local businesses, community choice aggregators, and of course, air pollution control districts. So thank you for having me here today. If we could go to the next slide, please. So Santa Barbara, as you know, has been very proactive when it comes to electric vehicle infrastructure to date. And we want to bring this opportunity here to talk to you today about a potential opportunity for 2021. Regardless of efforts, the entire state is actually facing a similar challenge in that our infrastructure for electric vehicles is outpacing the demand and the purchase of electric vehicles across the state. And so that is where Cali VIP comes into play. It's a mechanism to help urgently address the need for electric vehicle infrastructure throughout the state. So that's the need right now. If we can move to the next slide. The way that the state equates this need is on a county by county level, and that's through a tool called EVI Pro. And this is developed by the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, NREL, and the Energy Commission to help evaluate the state's need for public level 2 and DC fast charging stations throughout the state. So it evaluates, the output is a range of need in public electric vehicle charging station on a county by county basis. And we'll have some slides to identify the gap, as we call it, for this region. The tool also accounts, I may add, a number of factors, regional factors, including electric vehicle miles traveled, existing public infrastructure for electric vehicle charging, opportunities and availability of residential charging, and also the density and other charging characteristics around electric vehicles in your region. Next slide, please. So as we mentioned, the commission selects projects for Cali VIP on a county by county basis, but it also has the flexibility to schedule, to select regions that feature multiple counties. So for example, we have 6 projects, as you can see on the slide right here, to date that are live, that are up and running in the state of California. Those projects range from a single county, such as our Sacramento project, to serving projects in other areas up to 4 counties across the territory. So to date, we have these projects represent $58 million of electric vehicle infrastructure incentives throughout the state, with an additional $200 million in future California Energy Commission funding through this project. So we're here to talk to you about the 2021 projects, and I'd also like to mention there will be 3 more projects that will be live in 2020. So transitioning now to the 2020 region, that's why we're here to talk to you today and present on Cali VIP. Next slide, please. So as you can imagine, the California Energy Commission has limited funding. So these are the priority regions that you can see in the table that were identified at a California Energy Commission October 2019 workshop. And as you can see in Project F, we identified this tri-county region, and this is the electric vehicle infrastructure, public electric vehicle infrastructure gap. As you can see, Santa Barbara County has a projected, what we call a low gap of 750 level 2 chargers, meaning that by 2025, this region will need at least 752 level 2 chargers to meet the state's goals. In addition, that there is 124 DC fast charging station gap in Santa Barbara County alone. So I'm here to talk to you, and Alex, I'll hand it off to him next, is that there is a competitive element to being selected for a 2021 Cali VIP project. As you can see, these are the other regions, this region here is competing for state funding. So a way to compete and bolster the likelihood is to form partnerships or coalitions within those regions to bring a co-funding element to each project, and that would increase the likelihood of being selected in the Energy Commission's eyes for a 2021 project. And with that being said, I'd like to hand the mic back to the other Alex to take it from here. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. As Alex mentioned, regional partnerships are one of the criteria that the Energy Commission considers when selecting Cali VIP project regions. The district has a long history of working closely with partners in the Tri-County region on electric vehicle planning and implementation. The district is a member of the Electric Drive 805 Coalition, which includes the Community Environmental Council, the Central Coast Clean Cities Coalition, the Ventura County Regional Energy Alliance, and the air pollution control districts of Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo counties. One of the missions of the Electric Drive 805 Coalition is to support the state's goals to deploy zero-emission vehicles and charging infrastructure in California. This mission aligns with the mission of Cal EVIP, which is also to support the state's goals of deploying 1.5 million zero-emission vehicles by 2025, 5 million zero-emission vehicles by 2030, and 250,000 chargers by 2025, including 10,000 DC fast chargers. Over the past few months, the Electric Drive 805 Coalition has teamed up with the County of Santa Barbara and the community energy providers in the region, Monterey Bay Community Power and Clean Power Alliance down in Ventura, to form a partnership with the goal of bringing a Cal EVIP project to the South Central Coast. This partnership is essential to launching a Cal EVIP project and consists of funding partners, which are the air pollution control districts and community choice energy providers in the Tri-Counties, as well as the other non-funding partners that will provide in-kind contributions like outreach and education. In addition to providing funding for EV charging stations, the goal of Cal EVIP is to speed up the installation process to get infrastructure into the ground. Because of this, another element of the South Central Coast Partnership is working with jurisdictions in the Tri-Counties to implement streamlined permitting requirements for EV charging stations, in accordance with Assembly Bill 1236. The Energy Commission requires that at least 50% of the jurisdictions in a region have a streamlined EV charging station permit process in order to be eligible for Cal EVIP. On the bottom right-hand side of the slide is a picture from PlugShare showing some of the public EV charging stations in the Tri-Counties. The 101 corridor is an extremely vital travel corridor in the state, which makes the need for EV charging stations all the more important to support this transition to electric vehicles. As you can see from this slide, the district has a long history of funding EV charging stations in Santa Barbara County. Since 2011, the district has provided almost $400,000 in grant funds to help fund 108 charging stations at 21 different locations in the county. Additionally, we are currently in the process of working on grant agreements to install 30 more chargers in the future. The map on the right shows the quantity and the types of charging stations that we have helped to fund to date. According to the U.S. Department of Energy, there were approximately 237 public charging stations in Santa Barbara County as of December 2019. This is a good start, but Santa Barbara still has a long way to go to have an adequate amount of infrastructure in place to support the number of EVs that will be on the road in the coming years. While the district has had a lot of success providing grants to help fund charging stations in our county, the grant process can sometimes be complex and lengthy, as opposed to Cal EVIP, which is designed to be a streamlined rebate process to quickly and efficiently get infrastructure installed. The data from this chart comes from a California Energy Commission report that analyzes EV charging infrastructure needs in California needed to meet the state's goal of 1.5 million zero-emission vehicles by 2025. The green line represents the number of electric vehicles that are projected to be on the road, and the blue and the yellow bars represent the projected amount of EV charging stations that will be needed to support these vehicles. As you can see from the graph, the number of public charging stations statewide needs to grow from just over 20,000 stations in 2017 to more than 100,000 stations by 2025. In Santa Barbara County, the number of charging stations also needs to increase about 5 times from what is available today to support the electric vehicles that are projected to be on the road here locally. The district is currently working with the other South Central Coast partners on submitting an application to bring a 2021 Cal EVIP project to our region. We have worked collaboratively with our partners and determined that if we were able to successfully bring a project to the region, the Energy Commission has indicated an interest to fund up to 50% of the gap in the level 2 charging stations, as well as 30% in the gap of the DC fast charging stations in the Tri-Counties. While this is not yet a definitive commitment, it gives us an idea of the level of state funding that this program could bring to our region, which for Santa Barbara County could be as much as $4 million. The funding that the Energy Commission provides would be in addition to any local funds that the South Central Coast partners are able to contribute to the project. And we expect that the total funding for EV charging stations would be even higher than the figures in this chart. The district is currently working with the other South Central Coast partners on submitting an application to bring a 2021 Cal EVIP project to this region. We have worked collaboratively with the air pollution control districts of Ventura and Santa Barbara counties to come up with creative funding proposals and develop program requirements that will best serve our region. Our application packet is due next month and consists of a non-binding letter of intent with tentative funding amounts from all of the project partners, as well as a completed project design questionnaire. After submitting our application, we will continue to work with the Center for Sustainable Energy to finalize the Cal EVIP project requirements. Later this spring, the Energy Commission will select the 2021 project regions and notify partners. If selected, we expect to return to your board this summer to request funding approval and contract authorization in preparation for South Central Coast Cal EVIP project that would launch in early 2021. Thank you for your time, and at this time, we'd be happy to take any questions that you might have.
Questions from the board? Mr. Mosby.
Infrastructure, I see a lot of movement on a small scale of infrastructure, but the distribution and transmission components to supply this amount of power. In the city of Lompoc, we had a small analytics done of what it would take if everybody had an electric vehicle, because you have to think best case, worst case scenario, you know where you are. In maxed out, just it's nowhere close to even having maybe 10% of the infrastructure needed to supply the demand. Should we get to this? Has anybody looked at those analytics? If you have 5 million vehicles, you need to charge them, and potentially you need to charge them all at once. Where are you going to get this power from, and how are you going to get it there? And I think it's important that people need to start looking at the whole picture and the expansion of how we're going to get there. I know right now there's a surplus power. Many a times they're burning power off into the ground because there's a surplus of power. They don't know what to do with it. But the complexity is, how do you get it there?
Right, it's definitely a real challenge, and I know that a lot of folks have taken a look at that down here with Southern California Edison. I've looked at some of their reports where they've analyzed this, and they actually are projecting even higher numbers of EVs on the road than even the state is. So it's definitely a component to consider, and you have to think about it being a gradual increase. So it's not we're going from what we have today to 5 million tomorrow. But I don't know, Alex, has the Energy Commission.
But when you're doing a transmission component, you can't just gradually boost. That's an all or none addition. It's another major line. You don't just go, oh, we're going to put a little one here and then no. And currently, in PG&E's case, they have to replace 1 million poles. So while they're doing things now, I mean, this probably should be a discussion on the table. And I don't know if there's somebody out there who's doing a presentation, but they need to understand this large complexity to have to try to get what you're trying to do. Or, the moment, as an example, with the demand that happened here, I believe it was up in San Luis Obispo when the highway was closed and the Tesla cars were 6-hour waits to get there. Well, you want to ruin something moving forward. You can't meet the demand. And you're only as strong as the weakest link. And I asked this about a year ago as well about the mass part of it. If nobody's discussing it, you can't get to a solution.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to that. It's a great question. That is not a point that Cali VIP is necessarily addressing within the scope, but those efforts are being done across the state right now. Utilities, I know, are looking at this very heavily, and it presents an opportunity for other grid-side resources such as energy storage and other types of solutions to help mitigate this problem. But it is certainly an issue that needs to have a solution. So.
And something I could look into is the conversations at the California PUC as it relates to the Energy Commission, as it relates to CARB, and how are those conversations progressing to make the system complete for the goals of the state? I haven't seen a presentation that provides that overarching long-term solution that you're talking about, and I could take that back and figure out the information. We could present that at a later date to you.
Yeah, when 2025 is not that far away.
Right.
And I watched PG&E install one power pole on my property, and it took them a year and a half, $760,000 for this fancy pole they're putting in that they can turn on and off with a cell phone. But to get what needs to go right here, I mean, you start hitting the wall. Dawson, you're moving forward in the direction you like to go on this, and you hit the wall. People will go back to riding horses than electric vehicles real fast.
Mr. Hart. So how does a local agency that wants to partner with the Air District to do this, or a local business or anything, how do they get into the process? Do you want their applications before February 14th? What does that date mean for other agency partners?
So if other partners would like to come on board from the onset, it would be a matter of having them submit an application with the partnership that has already formed, and that application is due February 14th. Okay. So if you know of any other funding partners who might be interested, be happy to get in contact with them. We've reached out to a lot of the local agencies that we think would be prospective partners, and working with Alex and the Center for Sustainable Energy and seeing the types of partnerships that have formed for the past projects, working with COGS and air districts and local municipalities. But I'd be really happy to, hear about any other potential partners.
So is the county and are other local governments partners already?
The county is a partner. They have not come in as a funding partner, but plan on offering in-kind contributions like outreach and education and supporting the permitted EV charging station streamlining process, and that they are engaged in the conversations.
Okay, good. Thank you. Director Hartman.
Where will they be placed and how will that decision be made?
Yes, thanks. So applications, once the project is live, are reviewed and applied for on a first-come, first-served basis. So it is up to the applicant and developers and the market to decide where the best locations will be. And
then how are you getting the match? This doesn't really fit within our budget cycle. At what point, how do we make a commitment ahead of time before we even have these discussions?
Right, so the funding that the Air District or other partners would put into a program, it's put into a non-binding letter of intent that serves as part of our application packet. So we're stating an amount of money that we would like to contribute, but it's not binding, and it's a tentative amount. And then as we go through the budgeting cycle and identify those funds, and then actually get selected by the Energy Commission, that's when we would come back to the board for actual authorization of those funds for future 2021 project, and if Aaron has anything.
So nothing would be final until the board took action to allocate those funds for this project, and that would be a separate board action, likely in spring of next year?
Summer
Summer
2020, yeah.
of next year.
And what agencies would the money come from? Would it come from SBCAG? Would it come from APCD? Would it come from the county? I mean, can you let me know?
We're proposing, as part of our budget that we're currently under the development phase for, a portion of our grant funds that we have that are eligible for electric vehicle infrastructure would be earmarked for this match, so we can expand on those funds and bring much more money to our region. So that's where we're working. The other air districts are doing similar efforts. We also have the Monterey Bay, fill in the rest.
Monterey Bay Community Power, which will
Yeah.
be launching service, as well as their counterparts in Ventura County Clean Power Alliance.
And now that they're in certain jurisdictions of our county, they too could be contributing for this effort. So we're building on those commitments right now and putting our initial preliminary letter of intent in for consideration. And if we are selected, then it would be something that we'd bring back to your board for formal consideration and hopeful approval.
So final question then, so we're the lead agency to try to pull that together?
We're working in cooperation with all the other air districts. I think the electric
But
drive.
in our county,
Yeah.
at least, to bring potential funders, and then with
Definitely.
the other air districts in their
Yep,
counties?
exactly.
Any other comments or questions? Just for my part, I think this initiative is really important, exciting. If county staff is not sufficiently enthusiastic, then you should let us know. Really what we're trying to accomplish, I think, is something that is vital for the whole community, not just for electric car owners, which is cleaner air. I mean, obviously, this organization and technology has been very successful in improving air quality for most of the county, but the sort of spot that isn't so bright is close to freeways because of the volume of traffic. There is still a substantial health differential between people who live close to freeways and those that do not because of that impact. And if we're really trying to tackle reduction of greenhouse gas emissions and make a difference in fighting global warming, then we really have to address the transportation sector in a more meaningful fashion. The state has been enormously successful in reducing emissions in every other category, and this is the one bad spot on the state's record in terms of emissions, that as people keep on driving longer distances, obviously if they're going to drive longer distances with cleaner vehicles, we can make a huge impact for the betterment of the community and the state. This is just a receive and report. So can I get a motion to receive and report? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We have I6.
Discussion item I6, resolution of appreciation for Michael Goldman. Adopt a resolution of appreciation for Michael Goldman upon the occasion of his retirement.
And where is he?
Sure.
Before I read the resolution, please. All right, are you ready?
Ready as ever.
Dude, you look way too young to be retiring.
I'm old on the inside.
Whereas Michael Goldman, a.k.a. Mike or Goldman, has had an outstanding career at the Santa Barbara County Air Pollution Control District since June 1987. Beginning his career as an air quality engineer writing permits, and due to the breadth of his skills, abilities, and efforts, was promoted to the role of engineering supervisor in 2001. An engineering and compliance manager in 2008, where he continually shaped the division into a more cohesive, professional, and
94.
94. Excuse me, what did I say, 84? Before you got here, that's how effective you are.
That's good.
Whereas Mike worked tirelessly to ensure that the engineering division never had a budget deficit.
It's the governor.
But also assisted in the restructure of the entire agency to streamline processes and provide excellent services to the public and regulated community. And whereas Mike's innate ability to organize and develop structure led him to create the standardized permit process, calculation, and templates used by the district's permit program beginning in the 1990s, and helped design and implement the permit database applications, both of which have been recognized and duplicated by other neighboring air districts, not even neighboring, I guess, for that matter. Whereas Mike developed new emission control procedures for wineries, and shepherded the first emission control requirements for wineries in the country, and established the first BACT determination for wineries. Whereas Mike single-handedly drafted the revisions of the 1997 New Source Review Rules, comprised of over 300 pages of materials, adopted by the District Board of Directors in 2016. And whereas all of Mike's efforts significantly contributed to the district's efforts to reach attainment of the state ozone standard. And whereas Mike is looking forward to refining his bowling game, improving his fantasy football skills, expanding his foodie tendencies, and enjoying his soon-to-be new car, which he'll drive up and down the California coast. Now, therefore, it is hereby resolved by the Air Pollution Control Board of Directors expresses its great appreciation to Michael Goldman for his 32.5 years of service and recognizes his contributions to improving the air quality of Santa Barbara County and sincerely wishes him well in his retirement and future endeavors. Yeah, but we also want to make sure you see
Really,
your,
I get a gold watch?
He gets a gold watch. With the,
Does the battery work?
oh yeah, it's got a new battery.
Cool. Wow. It has the old logo.
I know.
Okay.
Mr. Goldman, would you like to?
Sure. I won't keep you here too long. Thank you, Aaron, for those kind words. I really enjoyed working for the district these 30 years. It's been challenging, but rewarding. And working with all the good people and working towards the mission was satisfying. It's good that we got the state ozone standard just in time. There's a few things when I first joined here that were interesting. Improving the permit process. I remember the first day I joined back in '87, they were writing permits by hand, pen and paper, and no computers, which was kind of shocking towards me. So the second day I came on the job, I brought in my own computer and sort of showed them how we can do things better. So a lot's changed since then. Like she said, everything's pretty much automated. Permits are generated really quick. We can do a lot more with a lot less people. And so that's kind of satisfying to be able to achieve that. And the other thing is helping people, especially the permit sources, get through the process from start to finish. It could be daunting for those folks, and hopefully we did a good job at helping our regulated community. And then an observation for you. I've been here for 30 years, and I've seen the district go through some ups and downs during that time. And I can tell you right now, the district is in the best position I've seen it ever in. The staff are technically strong. The morale is high. Financially, we're strong. And I think we're well managed. So I think that's an awesome thing that everyone here should be proud of. And kudos to everyone, including them and everyone back in the Santa Barbara and Santa Maria offices. So with that, thanks for the opportunity to serve, and thanks for the resolution.
Yeah, thank you.
Announcements? Seeing none?
Mr. Chair, I don't believe the board actually acted on the last item, so we just
Oh,
need
that's
to
right.
take an action to adopt it.
Oh, Rachel, it's one of the,
I'll move approval.
I would
of
love to
resolution.
deny competent employees the ability to retire, but I don't think that's legally within our rights. So can I get a motion? Mr. Hart, second by somebody? Ms. Rubalcaba. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Moving on to announcements. Seeing none. Can I get a motion to adjourn? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We will adjourn to 1 p.m. on March 19th at this very location.